What's going on, guys? Welcome back to In the World Not of It podcast. I am Siddons.
I'm Lane.
I'm Matt.
I'm Lincoln. Shout out Lane and Ben. I'm glad to be back. It's been a second.
Sure has.
I went to a wedding, so that's why we did not film last week or post an episode.
Yeah.
Or post an episode.
This is gonna come out tomorrow, which will be Thursday,
This is
We
coming out on
January
Thursday.
23rd.
Did we post one last time? Like
No,
before
because I was
last?
at a wedding.
We did do New Year's,
Happy
yeah.
New Year.
I was at Ben's amazing birthday
Yeah.
party. That's what I called it. Oh, my fault. Anyway, so last week was my fault. My bad. But we're back a week later. We're posting this on a Thursday. It's been hard to record recently. Just schedule.
Yep.
We're young. We mess up. We got new mics.
Yeah. Shout out to the association for stealing our mics and our stands, and to top it all off, our cables as well.
My arm already
But
hurts.
you know what? God bless to you because we found some. So.
Yep.
Love your enemies.
Exactly. Love
Give
your
us our mics
enemies.
back.
Love your enemies.
But yes,
Love
another
your
elephant in the
freaking
room.
enemies.
Yes, Lane, Matthew, and Sins all got a haircut within the past podcast. And I haven't, so I'm not caught up.
Comment boozy fade or low taper.
Okay.
Comment below.
Lane.
Bro, this is going to be a long edit night for Matthew.
But yes, we're glad to be back. And I almost forgot. If you're on YouTube, bottom of the screen will be our socials. We almost lost our TikTok account because that whole ban thing went down, but we still have it, so you can still go follow us if you didn't delete the app. I noticed that if you deleted it, it's not there.
Download it.
Yeah, you
So-
gotta buy a phone now and get it.
Really?
They're going for like 10 cans.
Yeah, I've seen people selling phones with TikTok for like thousands of dollars.
That is insane.
Yes, they are.
What also happened? Inauguration that happened. Milk Day was MLK, Martin Luther King Jr. I'm sorry, I call it Milk Day. My bad. That was this week.
And Lincoln's canceled.
Shout out.
no,
What
always
was he? He was a reverend pastor or something.
Yeah, he was.
Shout out MLK. You
Yep.
the goat.
No, wait, no, I'm pretty sure his dad was for sure.
Yeah,
I think he was too.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of stuff's happened.
He was a big-
sports wise. My Bills beat the Ravens. Shout out Ravens fans for making that game kind of interesting.
Shout out Mike Verbal,
Yeah,
carrying the Patriots dynasty.
and the Ohio State Buckeyes won the Natty. But anyway, other than that, no other
I know
news
someone's happy.
that we're caught up. Yeah, I am too because the Bills won. Y'all are seeing this on Thursday, so we've not played the Chiefs yet. Go Bills, Chiefs. Please don't win. Anyway, today we're talking about ways to spread the gospel, just to
As a youngin.
as a youngin, as our
As
age,
we are.
because we're pretty young, I would assume.
I don't know. Y'all are pushing 18.
I know.
All right, Lane.
I accidentally
Okay,
called someone
well-
young today.
I'm one of them
They made
youngins.
fun of me. They called me an uncle.
I'm a new gen.
Culture monk. Okay, let's get into it. So what I started out with whenever I was doing my research is things that the kingdom of heaven have been compared to. And it's all in Matthew 13. You can flip there if you want. I'm starting in 31, then I'm going to go to 44, then 45. So give you a second if I can find it. Okay. So first off, it's compared to a grain of a mustard seed in Matthew 13:31. He put another parable before them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a grain of mustard seed that a man took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all seeds, but when it has grown, it is larger than all the garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches. So your faith can start out small, and the kingdom of heaven itself started out small, but it's going to grow and become the biggest thing that can possibly be. 13:44. It says, the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field which a man found and covered up. Then in his joy he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. And then 13:45, it says, again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls, who on finding one pearl of great value went and sold all that he had and bought it. So I said, all these things show how great God is, so why aren't we spreading the gospel more often? Because if it's compared to a pearl, which this guy sells for great value, that's obviously something that's amazing and great, and so we need to all the time be sharing it. Sorry if you hear background noise
The
upstairs.
issue with a lot is that, especially nowadays, you're seeing like a lot religious. Religion is kind of taking a slow.
Yeah,
Hey, the most
Yeah.
America's at an all-time high though for Bibles sold.
Yeah.
So, or bought. I
But,
saw that.
as other
I just saw that on Instagram, but I thought that was actually kind of
as
cool.
more people are born, other movements come up. Religion,
Mhm.
especially Christianity, has become more like, I guess,
Look down upon.
yeah.
Which
kinda
is sad to see,
frowned
really.
upon. Which you
But-
know, you don't hate you love your enemies, as we just said.
Mhm.
You got to think of the other perspectives, though.
Yeah.
Because obviously Christianity, like you said, if it has gone down, maybe other religions have gone up, and we tend to be narrow-minded when it comes to religions, and some people might not want to talk about other religions besides theirs, and I understand
Yeah.
that, because I also can't speak much of other religions because I get them confused, and I also don't know much about them. But in our eyes, let's be honest, we think we're the only ones that are right.
Yeah, but they think
It's
the
our
exact
plan
same.
to believe that and put full trust in it. And I always thought, obviously, other religions think differently, but I've always thought if we're right, we're set, we're good. If we lived our life the right way, if we're wrong, I feel like there's really not much to lose. But when you're thinking of other religions, you got to be you can't be narrow-minded.
Yeah, you gotta be considerate because they believe the exact same thing that you said.
It's
they believe
You have to be
theirs-
an open. You have to be open-minded.
yeah,
'Cause,
you
I
have to
mean,
be open-minded.
People almost make it like a war.
Yeah,
They almost
Yeah.
make it a war
They try to
between
put
each
'em
other.
against each other,
Exactly.
kinda, like, make
and
'em-
that's not.
But-
part
yeah,
of
you don't
it.
do that.
I don't know in all of them, but in most of them, they believe in a certain.
Almost the exact.
They almost the. I will say.
similar,
I'll say
very
the.
similar.
I'll say the foundation.
Yeah.
Their foundation is usually all the exact same,
Yeah, it's built upon. I feel like a lot of religions are built
which
upon
is
each other.
God. It's a great God foundation. They just get some of the walls a little different than everybody else's. Their wallpaper is a different color than my wallpaper. You know what? Oh well, I'm still gonna go to their house and have supper with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a great
You
way
have
to
to be open minded to what you're going into. You can't discriminate other people for what they've always been grown up into, always what they've believed and taught themselves. You don't know what they've been through to end up even getting there.
Yeah.
It's all different, and you just have to be open minded to it.
Yeah,
as a
exactly.
Christian.
We've talked about how our religion, helps us out maybe in hard times, and we praise it in good times. And that's the same thing for everybody else. And it's important to learn that while you're young. So if you're watching this and you're around our age, I feel like it's important to learn that younger and to establish that early on.
Yeah.
Because when you're older, I feel like you are so set in stone with that one thing that it's very difficult to think, hey, somebody might not be exactly the same as me when it comes to religious views. That is. But yeah, that's one thing I thought I should share just because that's important. Again, sorry for the background noise if you're hearing.
Sorry about my hands are freezing.
Yeah, it's very cold. It was what is it?
It is.
It's 27 degrees outside, and we're in a
Last
garage.
night
So
it got down to a crisp 9 degrees.
Yeah.
So, and the fan is still running, by the way.
okay, they make fun of me because I wanted a fan one time. It was actually a couple, but
Anyway.
still.
Okay.
Anyway, Matthew, continue.
We've
Well-
thrown ourselves off topic.
Yeah.
We need to get back on, line ourselves
Okay.
up. And
Well, something I was gonna say is a good way to bring people, or I feel like the reason because of that decline is because there's a lot of people in the church that don't exactly are a good example of Jesus, and they, instead of showing love to those who are outside of it, are kind of interested in it and not completely sure, and maybe are really bad sinners, they show hate, and instead throw them like a church. There's not a single person in a church that is not a sinner, and all sin is equal. That's the whole point, that we all fall short.
no scale.
Well, different topic for another day. I personally think that means outright denying God's existence, and we already know that that's
If you don't
Yeah.
worship a God of light, you're worshiping something of darkness. I'm
Yeah.
just going to say that. Basically.
So what I'm saying is a good way to bring people closer to get people to spread the gospel is to be an example of Christ, because they'll see you and your actions, and they'll see Jesus and what he did, and they're like, okay, those are two very similar things. This person's a really good person. I should strive to be more like the person they look up to, which is Jesus. I was going to say a great analogy that I really like in Matthew verse 5, verse 14 through 16 is, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp, put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." and that's like basically what I was just saying. The world is a dark place. God is the light. You don't need to hide that light and put it away, because then you can't see anything. You need to bring that light out and use it and help show God to everyone around you.
Another thing when you're young is like I already said this, but it's just not even with religion. Now that I'm thinking about it, when you're young, you are so narrow-minded.
Yeah.
You don't know nothing. We're 17. We're still discovering the world. We don't even live on our own. I don't think. Yeah, we don't even live on our own. Some people do, and I'm not saying that's bad either. But, dude, when we're young, we obviously you're experiencing stuff as you grow older, and we talked about this even before we filmed. Now, whether it be to alcohol or anything other addiction, maybe even drugs or maybe smoking or something, when you're introduced young and you find pleasure in that, you want to continue to feel that high, I guess you could say. No pun intended right there. To feel that high over and over. And I feel like when you're younger, you just seek, you know one thing. So let's say
That literally, I mean, that goes into just growing up. Period. I mean, when it like say music, for instance.
yeah,
The music
is a
that your
big
parents and you listen to when you ride with your parents, that's going to be the stuff
That's
at
what-
first in your teenage years. That's all the stuff you're going to be listening to.
Yeah, then you expand from there.
And then you get about 16 and your mama wants to know, what in the world are you listening
Yeah. I already had that experience. But very funny story, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. But yeah, music's a big part of it too. What you put into your mind, what you listen to,
Yeah.
that can affect your mood just in general. But when you're younger, like I said, you fall into habits and you think that it will make you happy, and it almost seems crazy to think that those things aren't what you want to continue to do. And I'm just gonna say, let's say you fall in with smoking, right? And you chase you chase the habit, and it becomes part of you. You become known for that, and you think that's going to continue to make you happy. But that's only temporary. You got to think long run. Now, it's hard to think also, like I said, you're narrow-minded when you're younger. It's hard to think that life's going to end. And also, don't think you're guaranteed a certain amount of life. I saw one dude talk about he thought everybody just lived to 100 and then they cut off. And his mom was 40, and he was like, "Mom, you got 60 more years. It's going to be great." Then bad things happened. I'm not going to go into detail.
This is kind of relevant. As a kid, I thought people older than me were going to die before me. Like,
Yeah.
just no matter what.
Yeah, but anything can happen. So when you're chasing a sinful, if you're chasing a sinful habit, and you continue to just feel an hour or two, maybe a few minutes of happiness, just because you think that's all you know, you got to expand upon that. Like, it's not all that there is to life, and it's hard to think, like I said, that it's going to end. But we obviously within the past year, there's been tragedies happen with people that are young, with people that are our age, and it was over quick.
To be
And
honest, this has been
it's
like one of the
horrible,
worst
but-
years I've ever. Well,
Yeah.
last year was terrible.
Yeah.
This year's already off to a really bad.
But,
there's lots of people that are just going through it right now.
Yeah, don't chase habits that only will bring you happiness or pleasure for a minute, an hour, maybe. I don't know, maybe a whole night if you're out partying or something. I don't know. You got to think in long term, because life can be over quick. And I want people watching this, and I want to too, and all y'all, I want y'all to be prepared to go whenever it's your time. You don't know when it is, and it could be an hour later.
With that right there,
Yeah, but
I want to say, like, you hear a lot of parents and maybe older kids that have been through what you've been through, and they'll say, well, live when you're young, because have fun when you're young. But in my opinion, which this is my opinion, of course, I want to set myself up for success in the future. Partying as a teenager, partying as a kid in college and not doing your work in college and all that stuff, that's not setting yourself up for success.
Yeah.
But staying in church, being in church when the doors are open, knowing who is your foundation, knowing who your friends are, and I mean that stuff is what's going to set yourself up for success. It's not going to be passed out in a tent somewhere
yeah.
drunk.
Also, I don't know, like, think about, I mean, What in the world? Think of it this way: if you get drunk, don't you wake up with a horrible hangover? You feel horrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
And the thing is,
you're having a great time. What?
About
10, 11, 12, 1 a.m. And then you wake up and you're like, dang, that sucks. I'm not saying that's from personal experiences, but I'm just saying that for my parents. I'm not
Yeah.
calling out anyone.
and I know like a lot of people, it's like we all had those like anti-drug pep rallies when we were younger, right?
Yeah.
We all like like, hey, you'll
had
never do
one-
drugs, you know that?
This school year, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
but like, what's crazy is as a kid, like,
He
Oh,
was-
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was
yeah.
struck.
Okay.
Oh,
Keep going,
shit.
Lane. Keep going. Keep going. Keep
oh,
going.
yeah.
This
Forgot
dude
about
sang for us. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And he dressed up as Shrek, but that's off topic.
Yeah. Anyway, like you as a kid, you like think you never get into that stuff, never do that, but then like
It seems
literally
impossible.
less than 10 years later, you're people like I know some of my, I guess not close friends, but people that have moved here rather per se that I just knew watched grow into that, and that really hurt.
Yeah, it
Nothing you
really
can do about it, you know.
it really hurts to see people that you've grown up to like and befriend
What's really hard is
fall into the wrong crowd.
what's really hard
sad.
is trying to move on from it. Like you're always going to be there for them. You're always going to be by their side, but you know that you can't go hang out with them while they're doing these things. And that's what really makes it hard. And I understand that completely.
And one thing, if you have fallen into anything, like maybe you really like drinking now, or maybe you like smoking, maybe you like have other sins that you continue to fall into, where'd I go with this? Okay. A lot of what we're taught growing up is that people fall into stuff like that is through peer pressure. And obviously that's true. And if you've been I guess you could say, victim of peer pressure into something that's now led to something even worse, don't continue to do it to hurt your body to try to fit in. You know, when you're younger, I'm saying when you're younger, like I'm old, but anyway,
You have to have an open mind, but you have to be disciplined with your
Yeah.
open mind.
when you're young, when you're our age, and you fall into that maybe a few times, and maybe people start liking you more. Maybe you start hanging out with people. Maybe you think it's cool if you continue to do it for the sake of a little bit of popularity. Don't continue to do that because it can ruin your life. There's no reason to continue to hurt yourself with any sin, really, if it makes you more popular, because popularity isn't everything. And I get it. When you're young, you want to be accepted. When you're our age, you want to be accepted. And it seems like popularity is almost everything when you're in your high school. But don't ruin your life for something so temporary, if that makes any sense. There's a lot of pressure when you're younger. It's very hard not to want to fit in. But sometimes you got to just sit back and be, real with yourself. And you just got to think of maybe a few mistakes you've made. Maybe you act a fool when you hang out with a certain group. But you got to be real with yourself to realize that what you're doing can be wrong. It can hurt you, and there can be a bad end to it. But, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. Y'all can continue.
Well, with that, people do, and we say these sinful things, but in reality, we do sinful things every single day. And to God,
Absolutely.
these sinful things look exactly the same to Him. But with, say, drinking, smoking, vaping, all the things that we look at that are awful, even pornography that we look at that is awful,
It's bad, yeah.
is bad.
It's all sin.
But a lot of that comes with depression, sadness, or an escape.
Mm-hmm.
People look to that stuff through an escape because of something that's going on in their life. But you have to know that there's something in your corner all the time, whether it's family, and you can always know that one guy in your corner is going to be the one and only Jesus Christ.
That's your coach,
And he
yeah.
is the person you can always lean back on. When you have a trust fall, that boy's holding you up. Always, every single time. You don't have to worry about that. But instead of looking to the drinking, looking to the smoking for that escape out of that, you can look back to God and say, God, help me through this. It's just a simple prayer. And when we talk about praying, it doesn't have to be a whole essay in your mind to God. It has to be a simple sentence. He's just a man. He's just a guy. He walked the earth. Jesus walked the earth.
Conversation.
It's just a normal conversation. God, please help me through what I'm going through, because you don't even have to say what you're going through, because he knows what you're going through. And that's it, man. I mean, he's there with you all the time. Don't look to the evil, fleshful, sinful things that man has made, and look to the things that God's made and all the beautiful nature. Like, I used to go through awful depressing states and around 6th grade and stuff like that. But as I've grown older, just looking at nature, looking at the sunset, looking at the sunrise, looking at a rainbow, it shows how much this guy put effort into the world. How I almost get to a point where I don't even believe in depression anymore. How can you look at that and get sadness out of it?
Some people are just sad. They don't know why.
I understand. And like, we had a lesson today in Sunday school, or Wednesday night class, I mean. And like, Jesus took so much effort and thought into the earth. The earth has a core, if you did not know that, and it spins, and it's made out of copper and nickel. That becomes a magnet. It has made a magnetic field all the way from the North Pole to the South Pole around the earth. And that magnetic field protects the earth. It protects the earth from particles to hit the earth. Just that who thinks of that?
And what's even crazier is if you look at our position towards the sun, if we were like
Yeah.
barely this way, barely
We're
that
scientists,
way,
by the
Exactly.
we
way.
would either be in a permanent frostbite or just burnt to a
The
crisp.
tilt of the earth is so perfect. It is 23.5 degrees.
He measured that himself.
23.5 degrees is the tilt of our earth. And that is what does our spring,
that
and our
is-
fall,
and it is
and our winter, and our summer, because of the way it spins and how close it is to the summer. Like, this guy, when he in Genesis 1:1, he started out, and this is how he did it. He created the suns and the stars and the earth and all the planets
6 days.
in 6 days. My rant is just, I don't know how you can get sadness and depressing out of the most beautiful thing that this man has created for you. He died on the cross for you, for your sins, for all the fleshful things that's going on. He did that all for you. He sacrificed it all.
It's perfect. Just like you. I bet you didn't know that we knew that much about science. We're pretty smart. But
Yeah.
no, like you said,
Tonight.
and it's very hard to like you said, it's very hard to comprehend that people are just sad.
Yeah.
But like I said, that people are sad for no reason.
Yeah.
And there's obviously when you're younger, it hits you like a truck. It really does.
Absolutely. There's
And,
much pressure towards you.
There's so much pressure. There's school, there's work, there's practice if you play sports, or if you're in band, there's in school. I mean, we're there all day working towards, and some people might not even use school. But there is so much pressure.
Some people's schools are escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, escape is a big, like you said, how like stuff like that, like pornography, drinking, smoking, all that stuff, that can be escape to some people that have went through this. You know how people will, cut themselves, and that seems crazy, but for them, there's so much going on in their mind. It eases them, and it's very hard. And if you're listening to this, you're like, these dudes don't know what they're talking about. Maybe you are suffering from depression or anxiety, or have those escapes that are going to hurt you in the long run.
We can't speak for you because
Yeah.
we don't know. I mean, we're
We
not
can't
you.
speak from, and we're not saying we're perfect either.
No,
Don't
no.
get that.
Yeah.
But
God put
If
this video with you for a reason.
exactly, you're hearing all this, and you're thinking they have no clue what they're talking about. Maybe you ever thought that maybe it's a message? Because like that's what we're doing. We're trying to spread awareness, but like I said, those escapes, they are so addicting, though. They really are. For people that are into those things, for those that are listening, I know how addicting it is, and it's crazy to think that the person that created the earth so perfectly is there for you. But you got to think he created you too. If you're on this earth, you have a purpose, and the purpose is to be a messenger for him. And you'll go away from his path. And those escapes that you have, maybe you just straight up just enjoy it. Maybe life's great and you just love doing that sinful stuff that we mentioned. Maybe that's just how it is. And I know how addicting it can be. It can be like I said, it can be an escape. It's so hard to turn towards God if you're that fallen into it, though. And it can. If you've ever, like I said, if you've been real with yourself and you look at yourself, maybe even look in the mirror, you got to realize that, like Sin said, there's always someone in that corner. You don't have to continue to go down those alleys. Don't go down the dark alleys because there's nothing safe down there. And there's also, I brought this up too, there's people like these guys that I have to talk to them at any time. And I said this before we started, it's very hard to talk about your own problems. I talked about how, if possible, I just want another version of me, just to talk to at any time. Exact same person, but you don't have that. And we're all human. We can't always comprehend each other's problems. And sometimes it's easier for people to keep them bottled up. It's hard walking. Like, I've talked to people before and told them stuff that I didn't want to tell anybody else. And it's hard walking around the school knowing that they know something about me. And it feels unsecure. It doesn't feel right. It feels like you've done too much. But honestly, if you truly trust that person and you know them enough, there's a reason you told them. To bear each other's burdens is to love someone enough to where you can carry their problems, they can carry yours. And the whole point of this is being young and spreading the gospel. Again, I hope that if you are spreading the gospel when you're younger and you don't fall into these, I pray you continue to do so. But when you're young, it's very hard to, it's very hard to comprehend the words of the Bible. But I talked about people, like I said, people, you tell people stuff, and at that point you trust them and stuff, but also be careful who you trust. There's some people that will take something and run with it and drop a little stuff on the way, I guess you could say. But this is a verse that I have. It's Matthew 23, verses 4 through 5. They tie up heavy, I don't know what that says, cumbersome loads, and put them on other people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. Everything they do is done for people to see. They make their, I don't know how to say that word. I'm going to try, though. Phylacteries. I have no clue how to say that. Phylaceteries, wide, and the tassels on their garments are, anyway, those have long words. I'm not good at English. But anyway, basically all it's saying, these are the notes for it, is people put on a show, and people who do such think their outward appearance is enough. Don't think your outward appearance is enough is basically what I'm going to get to. Don't think that you don't have to look apart. You don't have to do certain things for an escape or to fit in with other people. It's okay not to fit in. Be yourself, but be yourself. When you're being yourself, make sure it's God's way, basically. But anyway, that was very off subject. On subject,
Okay.
How to share the gospel when you're young. Social media, obviously. Talk to your friends. If they don't like it, it's okay. Continue to spread. And that's all I got.
Okay.
You may hear that.
If you came to learn how to spread the gospel as a teenager, skip to about 30 minutes in, and you have the 3 key components.
We use this spread
Okay.
gospel. Anyway, I'm in trouble for talking too long. Matthew, go ahead.
Okay.
Your contract.
I was gonna say there's a part in Matthew. We've talked. I think we've only been in Matthew tonight. Not
Matthew's
on
a
purpose.
great book.
But
Matthew's a great person.
guy. Yeah.
y'all said it, not me. I'm kidding. Okay.
After the podcast, we don't like him.
Yeah, he gets.
That's a joke.
Okay.
Matthew, go.
Well, Matthew 10:5-15. I'll read that. If I can. So it's Jesus sends out the 12 apostles. These 12 Jesus sent out, instructing them, go nowhere among the Gentiles and enter no town of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and proclaim as you go, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse lepers, cast out demons. You received without paying, give without pay. Acquire no gold or silver or copper for your belts, no bag for your journey, or 2 tunics, or sandals, or a staff, for the laborer deserves his food. In whatever town or village you enter, find out who is worthy in it, and stay there until you depart. As you enter the house, greet it, and if the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. And if anyone will not receive you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet when you leave that house or town. Truly I say to you, it will be more bearable on the day of judgment for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah than for that town. So
Yeah.
it's those three things.
That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff.
Sorry for the live acapella you just heard upstairs. I sincerely apologize.
So basically,
We just want to get y'all
the
that
3
stuff.
points I got out of it was it said not to go to the Samaritans, go to the lost Israelites, which is saying don't go directly to the people that already know Jesus and already are close enough with him. Go directly to the people that don't know him at all, because everyone needs God's word, but people that know Jesus to an extent already have the ability to be set up. The people that do not know Jesus at all, they need the most help and support to get closer to him. And 2, don't take any payment for spreading the gospel. 3, if they don't want to hear it, don't force them. I think that's a really big thing that a lot of people say that Christianity is getting shoved down their throats. But I think that when that is true, you really just need to not force on them, because I think that does more harm than it does good. In that, and can even push people more away than it'll bring them closer. So that's all that I have. I don't know if anyone has anything else.
Your life isn't your own if you care what others think.
Exactly.
And when you're young, it's important to learn these things, because in the end, it's all that matters, and there is an end. Part of the journey is the end. Shout out Iron Man. But while you have this time on Earth, it's important to use it correctly. We're sent here. Our purpose on this earth, and I truly believe this, is to spread the message of God with every chance you get. I talked about this with my football coach before, and that is what angel means, messenger. Don't know what language, I forgot, probably Hebrew or something, or Greek, I don't know. But you are sent here to spread the word, but you also have to live it. Don't add stuff to the Bible that doesn't need to be added. Don't take away stuff. You have to believe in the entire Bible. The Bible. Don't add or take anything away. But if you spread the word like you're supposed to, that's the whole reason you're here. And even if you don't, as far away as you may be very far away from God, and this may be the first time you even hear about God, he was always waiting for you, even if you're not a messenger. Even if you don't believe, he still is there for you, and he still loves you. And I think that's about it.
All right. Well, sorry to cut it short or long. Not as long as the episode is. We are currently battling frostbite down here. It is freezing cold.
I can't feel my
pushing us
fingers.
across the road. So I'm gonna have to hurry up and kind of end this before I die of hypothermia. I say, the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you. My Lord be with you on Christ Jesus. Amen. I like to thank you personally for
Again,
watching.
go follow us on social media.
Yep. I'm sorry for not posting, but also
We'll
We're
try to
back.
get some more
you should be
episodes
sorry
We
out.
back,
for not
we back, we
listening
back.
to other episodes while we weren't
It's
posting.
okay.